chats in virtually every state, varying in size depending on how active the cell of Antifa militants are. But they're still working. Minnesota has slowed down a little bit because there's been a drawdown of forces or sort of easing off the gas from the administration, which I think is probably the wrong move. But that's where we're at.
So I just want to know, how are you able to crack in to the Signal chats? Is that a secret sauce? Is that proprietary knowledge or something? We got to sign NDAs.
Well, it's I mean, honestly, being a journalist in this capacity is a lot. Sometimes I feel like I'm a CIA spy.
Well, you're doing more than the CIA, let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest, and the FBI.
I guess
it's a lot of maneuvering and remaining in cover and developing sources and befriending people to kind of use them.
See, I would have embedded. Here's my Hollywood take. Right, here's Cam. He's got the the covert snake eyes gear on. Right, you can only see his eyes on right now, and he's showing up as part of the protest. And he's like, "Hey, man, what are you on there? Like, oh, we're on Signal, bro. You're not on Signal? No, man.
Check this out. Yeah,
here, man, just send me your number and I'll hook you up."
Yeah, it's a lot of kind of befriending people and trying to use them to my ends. And to be clear, anybody who's my friend, I'm not using you. I'm
just throw that out there. Yeah,
not manipulating people.
Sources is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I'm in the field and I'm operating with what is essentially like behind enemy lines, it is getting to know people, creating relationships with them, getting them to give me things that I want, infiltrating to the best of my ability, maintaining the cover, and then maintaining the cover once I've infiltrated is one of the harder parts, is not allowing my account to be burned.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, especially now, since you're getting so popular and being in that capacity, I feel like now there's, the headhunters are out, if you will.
Yep.
So, and another question I've been meaning to ask you is, you see people being able to infiltrate these groups and stuff like that. And once they're in, I feel like all these people start just like divulging information without even having to ask them. They're almost like happy and boasting about all this information that they have. Like, what's his name? Cameron or O'Keefe. When he does those undercover stings and stuff, all these people are just vomiting information just to look cool. So I wonder, is that just kind of a common thing that you've seen once you get into these chats, or being able to talk to people that once you kind of get the cover off of them, do they just start divulging information?
Well, what's interesting is the way they operate. So it's very much like decentralized and don't allow people to rob the community of resources. So because I've infiltrated, they're not going to now only give information to people at the top of the sort of loose leadership structure they've developed. They actually pin that as a red flag. So I want to kind of read you guys something that they put out after I infiltrated. It's about basically how to prevent information from getting to infiltrators, what to avoid and what to look out for as like Fed behavior. Some of the things they listed were just hilarious. So it's like they listed rule following as one. Here it is. Okay. Food for thought. List of Fed-like behaviors to watch out for. People in self-appointed leadership positions without people you trust vouching for them. Terrible digital security, which is ironic because they have terrible digital security.
Right. No OPSEC.
Hour and Data Republican were able to hack into their new platform they moved to after I infiltrated. That platform, they were able to change all of the photos of federal license plates to memes of Tom Homan. Hilarious. And also after I leaked their database of license plates, they password locked it, but the password was literally just in the plain text of the website. All you had to do is hit inspect and there's the password. The security goes, they're terrible at it. Encouraging siloing information to go through them not keeping the community involved. So they're still going to divulge the information regardless, even though there's an infiltrator, and they know that rule following is another Fed behavior.
Wow.
As we follow the rules,
Interesting.
they want to be pinned as a Fed. Policing are saying they know best, being rigid, moving in white ways, acting before thinking, false sense of urgency, taking too much space, not centering the most marginalized.
Good Lord.
That behavior that they're
Moving in a white way. That's an interesting one.
So
You make me feel so much better about the midterm stuff. You make me feel so much better.
yeah.
I mean,
God.
does that mean walking stiff and upright with no attitude or swagger? Or
So it could be
might you
like
have a stick up your ass?
all the way. It could be, I don't know. It could be a number.
Oh,
Wow.
That is insane.
Well,
And,
for as go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Brett.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, for as ridiculous as those rules sound, they sure are good at organizing. It's ridiculous.
They are. I mean, the way this operates is just look at the definition of paramilitary. They
Exactly.
operate exactly like a paramilitary force. And in the rapid response chat, so that again, the media has gotten this wrong. There's not a signal chat. There are hundreds of signal chats for each city. So the rapid response chats are broken up into zones, first of all, that loosely align with like congressional districts or city council seats. And so they also have patrol zones broken up within each of those zones. And in the rapid response chats, which are specifically designed for locating and obstructing federal law enforcement, they've released documents that specifically instruct people on how to deal with these situations in rapid response. And they specifically outline impeding, slowing down, and creating what they call flashpoints, which are moments of orchestrated chaos. In these rapid response chats, it is all business. They have an emoji code, and one of the emojis in that emoji code that they pin on your messages is a broom, which means instantly delete. It basically means like screw off.
Yeah.
Like it's out of here, delete it. Like you're clogging up the feed, basically. So if you mention anything that's not related directly to what's going on in the ground in their ongoing operation, they will put a broom on it, like get out of here, basically.
Wow.
So all it is all day, it's license plate, check this license plate, check this license plate, go to this intersection. Federal agents are here. They're doing an abduction here, which is just an arrest of an illegal immigrant. Go here, go here. This is happening here. We need more forces here. We need more people here, blah, blah, blah. It's all orchestrating the mobilization of their troops on the ground. And when I say troops, I mean the insurrectionists.
Exactly.
They literally deploy their people as if they're troops.
And I think you nailed it. I mean, we were discussing it last week when all this stuff was breaking, and it is, like you said, it is a paramilitary group. If you've ever been involved in the military or understand how the military works, like you have this level of operational security or OPSEC. You know, they're terrible at it, obviously, if we're able to get in it. But having that level of hierarchy and arrangement is just insane. So, and it begs the question, now that we see how organized it is there room for maybe the president or DOJ to be able to say that this is a terrorist organization and be able to label it that way? That way we can start prosecuting and pursuing it that way. That's, obvious. I don't know the legalities of it. I'm not a lawyer, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Because to me, that has every hallmark of a terrorist organization.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So,
and
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And to be clear, like each of these people in the group chats have roles. So you have plate checkers, people who spend their whole 8-hour day checking license plates. Then you have your patrolmen. You have stationary patrols, motor patrols, foot patrols, and stationary foot patrols. And those people all day, they just look at cars and they send license plates in the chat so that the plate checkers can check them. Then you have dispatchers. The dispatcher takes the information from the patrolmen and from the plate checkers, and they centralize the information and they sort of coordinate everything. So they will then, when the plate checker comes back with a positive ID on a federal vehicle, they will then tell the patrolmen to go locate this vehicle. They will tell they will tell the group exactly how many people they need there, how many people that are there at that time, and how many more they need. They will coordinate, maybe like a couple people need to peel off of one car. And here's the other thing too, is how coordinated these people are. Is you can go to Southside Minneapolis, which is the most active part of Minneapolis as far as federal operations and insurrectionist activities go. It is where Southside is where Renee Good was killed. It is where Alex Preddy was killed. You can go to Southside Minneapolis and drive around all day and look for federal vehicles and look for federal operations. You will not find them. It is not easy.
Wow.
Okay. But when you have 50 people patrolling at once, sending information to a dispatcher and then cross-referencing with a plate database, it happens to be that it's very easy to find federal operations, right? So as soon as I got into the signal chats, we went from looking around all day and finding nothing to finding 50 incidents in a day, right? It's very easy to now find where ICE is operating. It's very easy to locate their convoys because people have done the work already and they're on it. So that's how organized they are. There is not a single, federal operation that goes on anywhere in Minneapolis or St. Paul that does not get noticed and picked up on by these people. They are on top of it and they are extremely organized. The killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good were during what they call flashpoints. The goal is to create these flashpoints anywhere ICE is doing an operation. Again, it's just orchestrated chaos. They're not in control. Nobody's in control. They've created the chaos, which now makes it impossible for federal agents to do their job. This is exactly what they outline in their handbook. And they even acknowledge the utility in this could be to get somebody killed and martyr them.
So they even say that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, wow. Well, I can tell you we're over the target because TikTok has restricted my live and denied my appeal. But I do have a question. So I think there was some news out today that Tom Homan said they were going to reduce the number of ICE agents in the Minneapolis area by 700. But they did surge, I think, 2,000 in there. So they backed off 700. Now, I think the assumption is in the article is that Tim Walz has caved. In other words, has bent and is doing what's necessary in order to bring some stability and lessen the chaos in Minneapolis. Now, that being said, even if you reduce the number of ICE in the area, these insurgents, they're not going to stop what they're doing. They're going to continue, right? I mean, until the funding is completely cut off and somebody is arrested on some extremely serious charges, these people have no incentive to quit.
Yeah, I do think this is the wrong move. Tentatively, I want to trust the administration. There's something important that I don't think a lot of people realize, and it's that the reason there are so many federal forces in Minnesota is not because all of these federal forces are carrying out massive raids on illegal immigrants. It's because initially there was a number of federal agents sent into Minnesota for Operation Metro Surge. And then following that, they met this resistance. They met the Renee Goods. They met the signal network that was orchestrating people to their locations to impede them. Right. So they had to send more forces to protect the people that were carrying out operations. Their job is not to deport people. Their job is not to arrest people, illegal aliens. I mean, their job is to protect the people who are doing those things. So now that they've met with Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, and it seems that Minneapolis Police Department and the state police are doing their jobs to prevent this from happening. To be very clear, if Minneapolis Police Department had been doing their job from the get-go, Renee Good would be alive.
And agreed. I mean, so many people have pointed out in the past when ICE has ran large operations, you have cooperation from state and local authorities, and it's ran rather systematically and safely. And we don't have all of these problems, but people have just been allowed to run wild. Yes. And unchecked. And obviously it's being done on purpose. And have they been able to prove that the lieutenant governor has been a key orchestrator within those signal chats, or maybe she was even the origin source of it, or who wrote the manual? I mean, that is book, chapter, and verse CIA Color Revolution manual.
Yeah, I don't have enough evidence to say conclusively that Flanagan was in the group chats. There was somebody named Flan in the group chat, Southside Flan. I've seen a lot of claims that it was the lieutenant governor. I'm not going to make that claim because I don't have enough conclusive evidence to suggest that it's her, but there are absolutely elected officials in there. I mean, many of them, I don't have their names off the top of my head, but like a lot of them, especially city council seats, have just straight up said, hey, I'm in these signal chats. And this was before Signalgate. So they didn't know it was going to be this big thing, but they're like, hey, we're community organizing. on Signal, but they didn't expect somebody like me to go in and show what they're actually doing on Signal. So those people have already admitted that they're on Signal. A lot of them also were using their full names on Signal, which reveals are people who are attorneys. Lots of attorneys on there. They actually have an entire group chat specifically dedicated to legal issues, which is run by lawyers. The admins are lawyers. As far as like the drawdown goes, I think it could work because now that MPD and state police are actually doing their job, they don't need that additional protective force. But in the same stroke, I don't trust Walls and I don't trust Fry. I don't trust the state police and I don't trust MPD to continue doing this. I think that all it takes is the drawdown of forces. They protect them for a month and then all hell breaks loose again. Like, there you go. And to illustrate how bad it is in Minneapolis, Nick Sorter and I were in a Jeep. That Jeep was completely surrounded after Nick was physically assaulted 3 times in that night on foot. We're now in the Jeep. And we're in the Jeep, by the way, to de-escalate. What we did all night is we sat outside the federal building. When federal troops would come outside, we would go out and film them. When they were done and they went back in, we got back in the Jeep because we don't want to create a hostile situation between us and the protesters. We want to be out of their faces as much as possible. When we don't need to be filming, we're back in the Jeep. So they surrounded our Jeep after attacking Nick twice when we went out to film the agents.
Wow.
They surround the Jeep. They block the Jeep in, both the front and the back, with their vehicles, which is exactly what Renee Good did to the federal agents in their vehicles. They blocked them in. So now we're in a situation where we are surrounded. They're banging on our windows and we cannot escape. We had to reposition the vehicles so that we could get around the blockade that they created. We called 911. Nobody came. We had to drive through them. Nobody got hurt, luckily. They smashed our back windows out. They tried to smash our side windows. They graffitied the truck over. They tried to pop our tires. Then when we were driving away at 60 miles per hour, they dove out in front of us with their vehicle, causing us to almost T-bone them. If it wasn't for Nick being an expert in evasive driving, apparently, we person, but he went up on the snowbank and got around them, luckily. But I mean, it was like split second. They pulled out in front of us in 1 second, going 60 miles per hour, and he yanked the wheel up under the snowbank, and we got out. Luckily, we were in a Jeep Rubicon. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do that maneuver. Nobody came, to be clear. And also, there were other incidents where people were threatening to kill me and following me and stalking me and actually touching me and assaulting me. I called 911. Nobody came. Even though they told me they were going to come. And I went to a location waiting for MPD to be there so that I could get to safe haven. And when I got to the location, they said they were going to meet me. They weren't there, and I called them back, and they said that they canceled the call because they didn't feel like it. And I'm not the only one who's had these experiences. So and by the way, Nick Sorter, when he got robbed, when a Somali pirate stole his camera,
I'm not laughing, Somali pirate.
Yeah, they dragged him with their vehicle, for like 50 feet, and almost killed him. God. They came, and we heard the dispatch call. They said it was us in our Jeep dragging them. And so MPD came. That was the only time they ever responded to a 911 call from us, is when they thought we were dragging them. So I do not trust MPD at all. I don't trust Jacob Fry. They are a sorry excuse for a police department. And I know a lot of the rank and file officers probably want to do something, but they have their balls cut off by the mayor.
Oh, 100%. And absolutely. you know that it's coming from the top. It's that backroom meeting. Hey, I need you to do this. I can't be attached to it, and stand down. And so you've got this weak leadership, or intentionally like trying to set up dangerous situations, because it's a part of the Democratic playbook. This is what they're doing. We've been talking about it. RAV, we talk about it all the time. It was almost on cue. January 1st and on, everything popped off, right? Everything just on cue. It's manufactured chaos, and then they leave good citizens, good journalists out to dry, so they can get like some kind of casualty, like have some kind of story to tell. And with Renee Good and Alex Preddy or whatever his name is, it's to them it's collateral damage, and it's just the PR. It's or a good publicity, I should say. And what these people remind me of, Cam, is I feel like they're the remnants of the Bernie Sanders supporters. I really do, because they all look like Bernie Sanders supporters that are out there causing chaos. They have nothing better to do, and really, they don't. Most of the people that are out there protesting, they don't give a crap about the Somalis. They don't care about nothing. They're just anarchists at heart.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean they're further left than Bernie now. That's the problem. Is they've gone from what Bernie calls a democratic socialist, which doesn't exist, by the way, to now we're communists, like straight up. You know,
Yeah.
like when Bernie says I'm a democratic socialist, what he means is like, you know, I support like a ginormous welfare system, but I want a government. I want money to still exist. I want there to still be markets. They want no markets. They want no money. They want the government abolished. They are anarcho-communist, which also, by the way, doesn't exist. They're stupid. Want though. So that's what we're staring down. And when you say these people don't actually care about the Somalis, or they don't care about like the illegal immigrants, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I spent a lot of time undercover in California at the anti-Israel Palestine encampment.
Oh, wow.
It's in UC Irvine, UC Berkeley,
Okay.
UCLA. Had a gun pulled on me at UC Berkeley. It was crazy. But these people, I lived as one of them for months. I don't know where my kafia is, but I wore kafia every day, and I went undercover with them. You know, I walked as one of them. I talked as one of them. I spoke with them. I spent time with them. I attended their rallies. I attended their meetings, and I was embedded with them fully. And what I learned is they talk about Gaza for about 5 minutes, and then it moves to, all right, guys, why is Israel so bad? Oh, well, it's because they're friends with America. And why is America so bad? Well, America is so bad because of capitalism. And capitalism oppresses minorities. And look at you, you're transgender, you're gay, you're black, you're Arab, you're Mexican, you're this, you're that, you're an illegal immigrant, blah, 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 right? Name a trait on a person, and they're naming it, right? And you're also oppressed because of capitalism, which just wants to keep you down. And you learn very quickly, oh wait, this isn't actually about Gaza. This is about something else. And it's all a machine, right? The Hamas is feeding propaganda to the West. The communists are picking it up in the West. They're feeding it back to people. Now, from the end of time, you will see Palestinian flags at any protest in the United States on the left. You'll see gay flags because they did that whole thing. You will see now Mexican flags until the end of time. You'll see the BLM flags until the end of time because they did that thing. They're just building a coalition.
Yeah,
so,
never mind the Iranian crisis or anything like that actually matters.
Yeah, and ask them to speak on the Iranian crisis, and it's not soup du jour of their, you know, what they're
order yet.
Well,
exactly. They haven't gotten the marching orders from the top. So it's so if you're in this long enough and you pay attention for long enough, you realize how orchestrated it is and how it jumps from one social issue to the other. You know, once people get tired of the Israel Gaza thing, then it jumps to Minnesota, and then it jumped to the Somalis, and it's always evolving.
Go all the way back to Marx. What was it there? It was the workers, right? The workers are oppressed. It's whatever they can find at a moment's notice that people feel strongly about or feel something about. They can inundate them and make them think that it's way worse than they initially thought it was, turn it into a crisis, and now all of a sudden you pick up a bigger base. And that's all they're doing, is just building a base for a revolution. That's what they want. They believe they're in a revolution.
And do you think that it's, I mean, because you don't see, they call it the silent majority, right? There's a lot of independents that are a part of that. There's a lot of like old school Democrats that are a part of the silent majority. Obviously Republicans, especially MAGA people. And so do you think that it's enough to tip the scales? Do you think people see through it at large? Everybody sees through it like, oh, here we go again, you know, like,
I mean, this is where you run into the problem though, is the majority of people in the country, left and right, don't agree with these people. These people are fringe. They're very far left. They're crazy. And now Minnesota is a bit of a different story because literally everyone there is involved in it. It's crazy. It's the most organized I've ever seen anywhere in the country. So that's a problem. But as in the country as a whole, the majority of people are like, oh yeah, like immigration law, we've been doing that since the 1930s. That sounds probably like something we should continue doing. I voted for Obama. He did it. I voted for Bush. He did it. Whatever. Right. That's how the majority of people are seeing this. Or if they weren't alive, then they're just intuitively like, oh yeah, we should probably have borders, left or right, Democrat or Republican. The problem is it only takes what 3% of a population to overthrow the government. These people think they're already in the civil war. That's the problem. Now,
Yes.
I think Tim Pool, I was on his show the other day, made a great point. Is a lot of conservatives are like, "Oh, we're the big tough guys with the guns. They're no match for us, right?"
Right.
They support guns now. That's nobody's picking up on. They're communists, and also underestimating them is going to be their biggest advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Obviously, you want to be awake and aware, but is it enough? I mean, I know it's noisy. People get exhausted. They did this the first time around with Trump, the Trump administration, wearing them down. God, anything but this fatigue, voter fatigue. They're just like, whatever it takes. Just let's get quiet again and let's go back and take the blue pill type stuff. But do you think with the amount of media coverage and the amount of noise that they're making that we're going to end up with the same kind of voter fatigue we did before, and especially come midterms? Or do you think there's going to be a rally on it? I know you don't know all the answers to these questions, but in your guesstimate or estimate, do you think there's enough to prevent making a lame duck presidency for Donald Trump?
I think it's going to be really hard. I think the pendulum tends to swing. I think when we get complacent and used to winning, it happens to be that we say, oh, we just did it. We just had we won the popular vote. We won the electoral college. We got more votes than any president in U.S. history. Surely if I don't go to the polls, other people will make it up for me. And you stay home because you've got this like, hurrah, we did it. And then the other side wins. And then you spend 4 years down in the dumps or whatever, 2 years, whatever it is, whether it's congressional or presidential, you spend this amount of time down in the dumps. I can't believe what they're doing. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And then you go out and vote.
Right. So you've got the SAVE Act, and I'll yield after this. But you got the SAVE Act. It's just for some reason not making the hurdle. And you've seen the polls that came out the other day. 83% of Americans support voter ID, but for some reason, the people that we elected, that we sent to Capitol Hill to represent the will of the people, they just seem to be doing their own thing. And for some reason, we can't get the filibuster eliminated. We can't get the SAVE Act passed. What is going on in your thoughts as far as that's concerned?
I'm always so inundated on the actual problems in the country. I have almost no, and I'm not saying SAVE Act is not a problem. I'm saying that I don't have time to focus on the schmucks in Congress.
Yeah,
right. They're like they are supposed to be solving the actual problems and the problems you just mentioned, but they're just not doing it, and they never do. And that's the problem, is dealing with that, right? And there are people on Capitol Hill who want to get these things done, but there are an even greater number of people on Capitol Hill who just don't care about anything other than enriching themselves and pushing their own political agenda, even if that tears the party apart and causes us to lose everything. They don't care because it's what they want.
And in the end, they're just going to, and this is what's going to allow the communists to ultimately undo the republic. I think we'll split apart before then. I think geographically, America's in a secure position as far as that's concerned. You'll have red states that'll be like, this ain't happening. But God forbid we get to that point. But it just seems like we're 1 or 2 votes away from, a Democrat, a liberal Democrat winning the White House and then picking a Democratic socialist to be his vice president.
Yep. And it's so fragile. And it's fragile because we keep electing people who just don't care.
Right.
We need who are strong.
Supreme Court allows California to use Democrats' new congressional map that eliminates 5 GOP House seats. You want to talk about fragile? We just got smacked over the head. I just caught this on the Gateway Pundit. And then you've got John Thune, who is not doing us any favors at all. They need to get the SAVE Act pushed over the line, but these rhinos, as far as I'm concerned, they're doing the bidding of their corporate masters, and their corporate masters want open borders. They want the cheap labor. They want the open borders because they're all about lining their own pockets. And it's unfortunate that those that are supposed to be representing us in Washington aren't representing us at all. There's a huge fight ahead, and I've always told you guys that I'm still hopeful at the midterms that we're going to be successful. But if the messaging out of the White House does not improve, if President Trump can't get up there and turn the volume from 1 to 11 and say, look, this is what we've done, and explain that it's a slow motion process in order to get us across the finish line, I think we're screwed. And I also think if they do the messaging too soon, the voters, we have short-term memory issues, right? If you do it too soon, they're going to forget about it and go, what have you done for me lately? So with all of the economic policies that they are putting in place, those are starting to be a benefit to the country. Gas prices are coming down. You see where I'm going with this. But if they don't get control of the narrative and the messaging, and they can't rein in the mainstream media to some degree, it is going to be a tough road to hoe all the way through the midterms. And I'm sick and tired of, as you said, Cam, it only takes 3% to start the revolution. I think that's a bullshit made up number, but 3% that's a lot of people if you take it from a nationwide average. But the news media blows the 3% up to say it's 83% of the country that want this. No, it's 83% of the country that wants voter ID. It's 83% of the country that wants the secure borders. But you guys have heard me say this too. It's that damn silent majority that sits on their ass when it comes time to vote because they don't want to get involved in politics. Leave me alone. Let me go to work. Let me go to church. Let me pay my taxes. I just don't have it in me to fight. Well, at some point in time, they're not going to have any choice because they will come for you. They will come for your church. They will come for your taxes. They will come for you in any way, shape, or form that they can. And if they can get the damn green agenda pushed through, then we're really screwed as well.
Yeah. And I think the administration is up against a tall task because to sort of defend them a little bit, it is so difficult to fight a propaganda war against an insurgent force, and that's essentially what they're up against, right? And whether it's 3% or it's 20%, I mean, just look at do you think 20% of the population falls for this crap? I think it's more than that. I think it's a very high number of morons that fall for this crap. And if they fall for it, they're open to radicalization. And that's the problem. And it's the same. Like I said, insurgent forces are very good at propaganda. It's very easy for them, which is why they use it and manipulate it. Just look at what happened in Gaza. It's the same thing. Oh, look at our martyrs. This person was innocent and they were killed. Oh, turns out, she might have tried to run this guy over and whoops. But who cares? Because we've already told everyone that she was innocent and he just shot her for no reason. And now everyone thinks that. And by the time we find out that she might have or might have not actually hit this guy, despite the fact that everyone said her wheel was turned the opposite way, everyone thinks she's innocent now. And by the way, if your wheel is turned away, how did you hit him? I squared that one, but it doesn't really matter.
Basic geometry, but
the lie circles the earth 10 times before the truth does once.
Exactly.
And Cam, we've got a term for those kind of people we like to use on this show. It's the low information voter.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. I stole that from Rush Limbaugh. God rest your soul.
I think an appeal to both sides here is
just
team up against them, right? These people hate you too, even if you're a Democrat. Look what they did for the past 4 years. They marched in the streets and yelled "Genocide Joe," and they tore down the fence to the DNC. They hate you too. They sit around all day when a Democrat is in office complaining about liberals and whining about liberals, and honestly in the same way we do, but from a communist perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Team up with us.
Yeah.
These people are priority number one. They want to bring this country down.
Dude, I just don't get it. I do. I mean, it's those, I don't want to say all, but Jesus movement parents from out of the 70s that raised children to believe that Jesus was just this lackadaisical. It's a myriad of reasons, but to be soft Christians and to believe that Jesus was some kind of socialist. And then you have on the other front, you have people who just don't care. They hate America. They're spoiled. They're descendants of the hippies, and we can just point all day at what could have gone wrong. The propaganda wars, Hollywood, whatever you name it. You got what's his name? That guy that played in dude, he's Hispanic dude. He played.
Oh yeah,
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
That too, but like we're talking about the other guy who literally tweeted out socialism is good.
The
guy from Oh, dude, they had the hit show on HBO Max.
Yes.
Yes,
They
that
don't
guy.
know what
That
socialism
guy.
is. Like,
Yeah.
they don't know what it is. I mean, if you
No.
read Karl Marx, socialism and communism are the same thing, but they say socialism because they've decided that it doesn't sound as bad, I guess.
It's a little softer on the palate. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Socialism is actually how Marx describes it in the German ideology, which is one of his books, is socialism is the system. So what everyone thinks is communism, that's socialism. Communism is party allegiance. So if you believe in socialism, if you believe in the socialist cause, you are a communist. That's why you have like the Communist Party of China. Is China a fully communist country? No. But do the people in charge believe in the socialist movement? Yes, they are communists.
Yeah.
But socialism is the actual system. Communism is not a system. It's just like a party allegiance, basically.
We only have you for a limited time, but I want to jump on another topic real quick, if you don't mind. You went to Israel recently, maybe a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like a year ago?
I went in March and I went in August.
All right. So did you come back as a Mossad agent and start getting $7,000 a post?
And also, it's not 7,000 for me. Everyone keeps getting it wrong. It's 15 because I'm better than the other ones. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Noted. Noted.
House. I have a tunnel under my house. It goes right to Tel Aviv. That's how I collect my paychecks. There's a meeting room.
You've got the red phone on your desk straight to Netanyahu. Got it.
Bro. What, like my question is like, we have so much misinformation, dude. And if you even like have conservative inclinations, I'm an independent, and that leans conservatively. It's so intentional. It's almost like the algorithm's trying to radicalize people too. I watched a Nick Fuentes video, God forbid, one time, just listening to what he's saying. That's reasonable. Oh, that's crazy. No, and next thing you know, my feed was full of Hitler's speeches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, what it's by intention, bro. And they're trying to radicalize people on the right, create this division. And my thing is, you've been there, you've been in Israel, you were there covering the Gaza situation. Is there some kind of cabal that is secretly running the United States government? I had to ask. I mean, you were there on the inside. Is there, are they trying to make us like pro-Hitler over here? And at the same time, are the Jews responsible? That's my only question.
No, it's actually so obvious. It's the opposite. I know. So, we have so much control over Israel. It's not even funny. How do you control people? What's the number one thing that will allow you to control people?
Propaganda.
Money.
Money.
Money. Right?
Yeah.
If I give you a bunch of money, I can make you do pretty much what it depends on what it is, whatever I want you to do, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do we do for Israel? This thing everyone complains about all the time.
Send them money all the time.
A shit ton of money. Sorry, I don't swear, but
No, you're good.
We give them a lot of money. To us, it's not a lot of money, but to them, it is. Well, nominally. But who started that? Was it some like super pro-Israel conservative Christian zealot? Or was it this guy who hates Israel? This is actually Jimmy Carter's book, Israel, Peace, Not Apartheid. He hated Israel. He thinks it's an apartheid state, which means he thinks that it's a system of aggressive racial discrimination. Jimmy Carter was the biggest ramp up of aid to Israel. And that's because he wanted to control them. Another major proponent of ramping up aid to Israel was Obama, right? Not exactly Christian conservative zealots who want to be controlled by Israel or are controlled by Israel. Clearly, this guy's not controlled by Israel. He wrote an entire book dogging on them. Obviously, not, right? So why did he give them a bunch of money? Because he wants to control them, right? And every president after that has continued exerting that power over Israel. They don't want it. Like, they literally do not want the money. They got themselves into it. It's a leash. So you go to Tel Aviv and you talk to any number of Jews in the street who are obviously all very pro-America and obviously very pro-Israel. They don't have the same communist insurgency that we have here. Envious of them a little bit, but they're like, no, we don't. We want to continue a diplomatic relationship and a strategical relationship with the United States, but we don't want to keep taking their money because they're using it to control us. The inclination that people have in the United States about Israel, they have the same inclination about the United States and Israel, but it's actually true.
Interesting.
I talked to Bibi myself, Bibi Netanyahu, and I asked him about this specifically, and I pushed him on it. And it was really, this meeting was really a lot of back and forth, and I didn't agree with a lot of the things that him and his people said. They just don't have a good mind for like understanding messaging and like how things are working in the United States. They don't understand Americans. But I pushed them on the money thing, and Bibi said, just as I ended civilian aid in the 90s, I will end military aid to Israel from the United States in modern times. And I people ask me, why would he do that? How does he have the ability to do that? Why doesn't he just do it? And it's like, okay, well, this is like a State Department issue, right? The United States, people don't understand how this works because in your own mind, you're thinking, okay, here's my bank account. If I'm draining an expense to somebody and I can cut that expense off, obviously I want to stop it. The United States doesn't operate the same way. We have an unlimited budget, basically, right? I mean, if we can go into debt, sure, but we can still spend the money. Yeah. So we can keep draining money to Israel, and we can afford it. It's not a big chip off our shoulder to do it. It's not a dent in the wallet. It's very easy for us to do. So they don't understand that the United States wants to keep giving them that money. Like the United States government wants to, regardless of who's in charge, right. Democrat, Republican, wants to keep funneling them that money
just to maintain that leash. Yeah.
And Israel doesn't want the money, and they don't understand that concept of not wanting money and wanting to continue draining money. They don't get that, but it's all about control, and that's how our government operates. So they do not realize in any way how this relationship works and how the United States exerts foreign influence across the globe. We do this with most countries that we're loosely allied with. We just dump money into them, and it makes them do what we want them to do. Every time it works.
So what do you think that, I mean, where's the draw? Obviously the lack of understanding. I mean, I just learned a bunch just listening to you, but what do you think the breakdown in communication is for America, and why is there such an anti-Israel, in your opinion, anti-Israel sentiment now in the Republican Party or on the right side now?
You need a bad guy.
Yeah, maybe.
You're a bad guy, and here's the bad guy. They're doing war. Oh no, it's terrible. It's bad. Let's not talk about the fact that considering like other foreign conflicts, this has kind of the least amount of casualties compared to others. Like just look at like Russia and Ukraine. When Russia invaded Mariupol, for example, in the first 30 days, they killed 30,000 people. Yeah, and experts estimate that it's 5 times that number, which would be more than the totality of the war in Gaza just in 30 days. But nobody talks about that because for the past 30 years, we've been rah-rah beating the drums against Russia. So nobody wants to be against Russia because it's not cool to be against Russia. It's not edgy. It's not the new thing to be against Russia. It's what all those old people at the top have been telling us to do. And we want to do what the people at the top are telling us not to do. So let's be in favor of Russia and let's be against Israel. And then in 30 years, after we spent 30 years beating the drum against Israel, and then we're going to be back to Russia or whoever the bad guy is then. It's just how the counterculture, like, I'm edgy, check it out. Look, I'm doing the cool thing. I'm rebelling. I'm going against what the big guys are telling me to do. It's just that thing. Kids do it all the time. People are very small-minded like children.
Well, and the purpose of the boogeyman is to keep the military-industrial complex going. And we always have to have a boogeyman. It went from the Soviet Union after World War II, and then when they were done with that, it went to terrorism. When it got done with terrorism, it became a virus, and after a virus, it became this. And so as long as they can keep everybody on edge and off center long enough, they can continue to get past us, the things they've been getting past. I mean, hell, drug dealers really wanted the same deal that the Somalis got in Minnesota, flying out $1 million a day in cash from the United States to Somalia, right? You can't tell me that that was just overlooked. That was coordinated, planned, and cooperation at all levels of the federal government, TSA, DHS, state government, you name it. There were people getting paid off left and right, and that money will never come back to the United States. And the more that we look at the fraud and things that are going on, and the more that we look at the things that are happening to keep us divided, the more they'll just continue to rob us. And it's very frustrating, as you can tell in my voice. I don't like it. And I don't think any of us really do, except for the idiots that are out there. And one thing I wanted to ask earlier, Cam, did you see not tour buses, but charter buses coming in, bringing people into Minneapolis? Because I've seen news coverage at other events where they're shipping people in with the pre-made signs. I mean, it's not grassroots, it's planned, right?
Yeah, I didn't personally see that, but I did see a lot of people who were not from Minneapolis, and those people still call everybody their neighbors, and we're all neighbors. They're not neighbors, and also neighbor could mean I live on the north side of Minneapolis, and you live on the southeast side of Minneapolis, but we're neighbors.
Right.
No, it's like
we're in neighboring states, perhaps. Yeah.
You're not neighbors. You're just saying that it's a dog whistle. You're just saying that to make everything for propaganda purposes, really. Yeah. So I didn't personally see that, but I'll tell you what, literally 3 hours after Alex Preddy was killed, they already had signs out with his face on it.
That's wild.
You got to be kidding.
No,
that's wild. So organized. And so they've exposed all of this. Like, I've been calling it the dark money pipelines. The stuff that we thought that USAID and all that fraud that Doge was exposing was really where it was at. But now we've come to find out, and I don't think we're really going to, somebody's going to take the fall at some point. We're going to, drag it out. None of this is going to be prosecuted during this administration, I believe. And because the fraud is so rampant, now we see how they're actually funding their campaigns. Now we see how all the kickbacks and how people are getting wealthy in Congress besides being stock traders. Ilhan or whatever her name is, Ilhan Omar. And what are your thoughts? Do you think that that's really what this is, or is that just us just believing our own delusions and things like that as far as the American public is concerned?
Well, James O'Keefe just released a pretty damning undercover piece, where he had a date with an FBI agent, and that FBI or a specialist of some kind, security specialist, and that FBI agent literally said Kash Patel's a diva. Went on this. I think he was a Biden holdover. He went off on this rant about Kash Patel, and then he said that he doesn't think anyone will be put in prison for the fraud that happened. He said that it takes years for these things to be prosecuted. Trump probably won't even be in office by the time an investigation came to a head, and they'll probably just find a fall guy and pin it on somebody. Literally what he said.
Good Lord.
We don't have a legal system robust enough to handle the level of fraud that's out there. We don't have enough U.S. attorneys. We don't have enough judges. In fact, we don't have enough jail cells to hold everybody that has been engaged in the multitude of illegal activities that are out there. So then the next thing that comes to my mind is some of these activities are treasonous. And if it's treasonous, it's going to bypass civilian courts altogether and just go straight to military courts. That's a whole nother can of worms. If you want to take and ratchet things up in this country, start talking military tribunals.
Yeah, with this fraud, at least I know there is a place that can hold them. It's like a prison. It's called Somalia.
Yeah, there you go. We get direct flights.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I know there's definitely enough space for them there because they all came from there. So I think we should just load them on planes and ship them back to that prison.
Absolutely.
Not let them come back.
Right. And I think Ilhan Omar should be suspect number one. I mean, with all the stuff coming out, I mean, exactly. Somebody just released some damning evidence about her, which we all knew she probably married her brother and all that kind of stuff. But now there's some pretty hard evidence pointing to that. With that, and then her net worth just skyrocketing in the second she got in Congress. I mean, it's very clear, and I think that's the most frustrating point for us on the outside. We see all this evidence and we're like, all right, I mean, what else do you need? I understand the judicial process takes time and you have to have really solid evidence and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, what else do we need? At least put her in handcuffs and get the investigation started.
Yeah, somebody of consequence needs to be arrested, not the low-hanging fruit. There have been a shit ton of prosecutions for the fraud that has happened in Minneapolis. So great, that's awesome. But nobody that's important has been taken out, right? Tim Walz, Jacob Fry, Ilhan Omar, any of them.
What's frustrating to me is, like, especially with the Signal Gate and the insurrection, the clear insurrection that's happening, the documents that they're releasing. I mean, it's like, it feels like I'm reading something that's coming from some kind of like intelligence agency or something, right? When I read these documents, briefs they send out to people, When January 6th happened, we went on a witch hunt and we arrested people.
Very good point.
We held them, hundreds, in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day without contact with the people, without a conviction. They hadn't even gone to trial yet.
Mm-hmm.
23
No
hours
process.
solitary confinement. We had an entire select committee on this in Congress. Where is that? Why is it not happening now? There's way more communication here than there was on January 6th. Way more planning, way more orchestration.
And it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder about the whole system at large and stuff, you know, with the Epstein and all of this stuff that they're throwing out this way. You got, I mean, what the hell, bro? Like you can't even catch your breath before something else is breaking or something else is happening. And, you know, and I'm pro-Trump administration being in office. I have my issues with Trump as a president, you know, namely not anything specific on policy, but when it comes to like how he carries himself and sometimes the things that he says that, you know, like, dude,
take his phone away every once in a while.
Shut the front door, do your job, and be the badass you are. Because I mean, obviously, you know how to build teams and you know how to put people in strategic places and stuff like that. I don't know everything there is to know. I don't sit in the rooms with them. I don't know how those decisions are made. So I'm only, as a civilian, just speculating and conjecturing with the rest of us. But you know, it's sometimes when you talk so much and you say so much, it kind of the effect wears off. And people are just like, oh, there he goes again. You know, it's like Grandpa at Thanksgiving. And and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful to Trump. I love what's going on as far as like getting America back on track fiscally, the long-term plays. We're not just kicking the can down the road as far as like making short-term decisions that lead to short-term victories so that we can look good at the midterms and all of that stuff like that. So I'm for all of those things. But, you know, I think we can all agree with this. And it's not relative to the Epstein files because I've always said we're not going to see much come of that. You know, we're going to see people lose their jobs. We're going to see people like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And people become desensitized to this stuff. And it won't be even a chirp later on when other big scandals break out. But, you know, I don't see anything coming of the fraud because it's just a useful thing. I think somebody will, you know, a couple people locally will take some falls, you know, the people that are involved in it, but nobody on a big level. And so what's the freaking point? You know what I'm saying? What is the point? It gives us something to do until we're dead, you know, like, all right, what are we going to do today? You know,
I think the biggest thing is laying the groundwork and putting it out in the public and having us be able to put our eyes on it and be aware of it. Because before, I mean, 5 years ago, nobody had a clue what was going on behind the scenes, what kind of fraud was out there. I mean, we were kind of privy to, okay, yeah, there may be some insider trading in Congress or whatever, but we didn't realize the magnitude of the fraud that's happening. And now that it's all been uncovered, you know, thanks to people like you, Cam,
100%,
you know, that putting it out in the public in front of people's eyes, I think is a huge step in at least deterring it or completely fixing it as a whole. But I think that's a huge win for us.
I want to say one more thing just on this. As far as voter ID is concerned, and this is the last thing I'll soapbox on. We get voter ID. Let's just say we do it. We're like, yeah, we got voter ID. It will be no time. I mean, because look, they're handing out CDLs. They're giving out driver's license. They'll just create a system in which they can just blanket statement, give out IDs to illegal immigrants. Bottom line. So there's always a work around this stuff. And you're right. The exposure is waking us all up. But to what end? Where do we go from here? That's my question.
Well, you look to the opposite of that. If we don't do anything, it's just going to get continuously worse. You know, let's at least put up a fight is my opinion on it.
True.
Totally. Yeah. Show them that they can't hide. That's what I've been trying to do is just show them that they can't hide.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to like dampen the spirits of all the patriots. But like, to the republic for which it stands.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
I'm sorry, but like, because I'm hoping to hear, you know, when you put out stuff like that, when you say stuff like that, you want somebody to come back and say, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fight for the republic. We're going to fight for the things that matter. I'm a constitutionalist myself. And I want to be a republic. In my opinion, I don't think anybody who holds any kind of communist or socialist values should even be allowed to live in this country, or let alone run for office.
Yeah.
And it's just insane to me that, President Trump used to read this poem called The Snake. I know we all remember it. He would be like, in the snake, we literally play with that snake every single day, and we keep it as a friend and a pet. And we let it run in our country with no cage. And we just do whatever you want. If we get bit, oh well. It's like the person who learns that they have cancer and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to hope for the best.
Yeah.
And so I want to hear the warrior spirit come in and say, we're going to defend the republic. We're going to take back our country.
I think what's good right now with people like you, Cam, and Nick Sorter and all these guys, the citizen journalist right now is the most powerful we've ever been. Being able to light that fire under us as civilians or as constituents, to be able to go, I can make a difference. I can expose this stuff and not feel helpless and be, left behind the scenes going, well, I can't do anything about this. I might as well not even vote. And then you run into that whole scenario. But
100%.
Right now, I think people like you, Cam, and us as citizen journalists, we have a huge responsibility and a huge opportunity right now to make sure that we out all this fraud and make sure it doesn't happen, or at least let them know that we're watching, and you can't just get away with it like you have been for decades.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I've been doing with Signal. Is just kind of, at a point in a lot of the chats where I can leak stuff and they're not going to find out who I am. Like, I'm so deeply embedded and entrenched that they just can't find me in the chat. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why, because I'm not trying that hard. They're just stupid.
Well, their OPSEC is terrible. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So I just release stuff. They say something in the chat. 5 minutes later, I release it, and they're like, guys, just remember, there's a spy in here.
There's a spy in here.
You watch, and I'm like, yeah, you are being watched. So
Yeah.
be careful what you say. I'm everywhere.
It's incredible.
Yeah, dude, we're so thankful, dude.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you,
absolutely.
Thank you. And somebody in here, in your chat stream, Brett, was telling, if I can find it real quick, they're like, let's see here. They were just basically saying, Cam, thank you for all that you're doing. Please be safe, but keep doing this, man, because we need it. You're saving our country.
Yeah.
And that comes from 43 Bacon. 43 Bacon.
43 bacon.
Yeah.
All right.
Or Beacon. My bad. Not Bacon.
We know where your mind's at.
You hungry?
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour, Cam. I'm sure you're tired, and we caught you on short notice. We can't thank you enough for coming on. Go ahead and shout out your socials so people can follow you, so they can get these updates as you send them out.
Yeah, you can find me at Cam Higby on all platforms, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a fun time, and Brian's a good friend of mine from a long time ago, so I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, this has been a great show tonight. You definitely have brought a new level to what we've got going on. We appreciate it. And again, you're putting yourself out there in a way that 99.9% of most Americans would never do. And we're glad you're healthy and at home and safe, and continue to be safe and keep reporting. And we'll keep pushing out the message as effectively as we can as well.
Absolutely. Keep your head on a swivel.
Thank you so much, bro. And we'll tag you in the content that we
Cool.
post stuff. So
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right. Y'all take care.